There ain't no man that's all good.
And no man is all bad either.
I'm all good and I'm all bad. Feel me? Shit.
Scribbles on a wall. Paintings taking up whole apartment blocks. Explosions of color and shapes in the otherwise bland streets of our society. A controversial, however widely accepted form of art, constantly innovative.
Graffiti.
Graffiti is the art on the street.
Words of wisdom, if that's what you prefer to listen to. But I don't think y'all do, so I'ma just assume you want that dirtiness.
We see it everywhere. We have learned to accept its presence. However, we are still perturbed by it. And we often wonder,
Why is it there?
what has motivated the often young and risk-taking artists to exhibit their work where it cannot be claimed or sold, where they are at risk of being punished for what they do? And what do they aim to show, to bring across to whoever casts their eyes upon their pieces? In creating this documentary, this is what I set to find out.
History of violence, Viggo Mortensen swam with the sharks like I had a dorsal fin. Smash mouth style, better check your porcelain. Play the fan man role now, but fuck around you and your crew's getting mowed down. 100 rounds.
Finding artists was both hard and easy. They quickly came to the surface as they are all eager to gain fame and be recognized. However, when it came to setting up a meeting, they were a bit more shy and cautious. My first stroke of luck came when scouring the streets of Geneva. I met a couple of 16-year-old guys who were painting an old apartment block somewhere in town. They didn't want me to show their faces in the film, so I had to cut a lot out, but there's some pretty interesting answers to what I asked. What is art? Is graffiti art? And why do you do graffiti?
Pour moi, l'art, c'est des formes, des dessins, des couleurs, tout ça. Pour moi, c'est pas vraiment de l'art, c'est plus du dessin. Après, on sait pas vraiment ce que c'est de l'art, quoi. Je graffe, en fait, parce que je sais pas, j'aime bien. Je trouve ça cool. Faire des trucs un peu illégaux. Et puisqu'à la langue, on est déjà trop accro à faire ça. Et on veut toujours faire plus. Allez, plus d'endroits partout, le plus gros possible, le plus beau possible. S'imposer dans toute la ville et puis en essayant de faire un truc joli.
From this encounter, I learned that, other than the fact that graffiti artists aren't always the brightest, that for many, graffiti is more about the adrenaline than the art behind it. However, I also understood that everything that we see on the walls is not necessarily done by artists. This means the usual "fuck the police" or the anarchy sign, but even some pieces that are not art, because they are not made with any artistic intention. Those guys that I just interviewed were not artists because they did not mean to express themselves or make beauty through their paintings, but merely break the rules. A friend of mine, whose artist name is Mewtwo, also agreed to be interviewed. This is what he said.
Everyone has different motivations for doing graffiti. Some do it for the fame, some do it for the power, some do it just for pure destruction. Me, I do it for fun. I think it's a really good way of expressing myself. Really
Another friend had this answer.
Why do I do graffiti? I have no idea. It's fun.
I continued scouring around the city, looking for good artwork. However, I realized that Geneva was really not the place to look. The only way that I would find the essence of graffiti art was by going to the graffiti capital of the world, Bristol. There was graffiti everywhere, on every wall of every house, on every street. It was a paradise of color, shapes, and beautiful art. Nothing was ever taken away by the authorities, and color was king. Here, I knew that I could find the answer to my question. Why do people do graffiti? Through a website about graffiti in Bristol, I managed to find a graffiti artist who really cared for what he did.
My name is Andy, aka Zase. It's in Slovak slang and it means again.
It was through him that the real voice of graffiti spoke, and it really helped me answer my question.
What motivated me to do? Well, the thing is, everything started in 1995 when I was like 15 and I walked down the street and see somebody's piece on the street. First time I seen it, I first fallen in love and I loved it. So that's a passion. That's something what make you happy, make you feel you up. You know, like that's why I start doing graffiti and I kept with it because I love it. I love creating.
Is graffiti art?
Definitely is. I think so. This is what I'm usually doing, like this in my day.
That afternoon, I saw some of the best paintings I'd ever seen in my whole life. But it was time to return home and talk to the person who probably knows the most about graffiti in the whole of Switzerland, maybe even the whole of Europe. William Sperster, a graffiti gallery owner in Brussels.
My point of view, the motivation of these artists, the younger generations today, is the fame, maybe the money. With internet you become famous really quickly, but back in the days when they used to paint graffiti in New York in the early 70s, 80s, there was no fame, there was not much money to be made, so back then it was real graffiti, it was graffiti for graffiti.
I'd now done all of my research. After having asked my questions to 6 artists and experts, I was left with a virtual pile of information to interpret, and this is what I made of it. Graffiti is like a bug that lives inside your blood, and once it's in, it'll never get out. The artists become hooked and now start painting everywhere, all over the city, for their own pleasure and to spread the colour and the art. However, many people think that graffiti is a way of expressing political views and anger on society. But not a single one of the artists that I interviewed mentioned this, and therefore I believe that the offense that people relate to graffiti can be totally taken out of the concept. Graffiti artists paint in order to make art, to make beauty, wonder and colour. There is no more profound answer to the question.
Graffiti, it's about money, about fame. Quoi d'autre? Mince.